There it is, the Matt Mosley Show, off and running on this Tuesday. Hope everybody had a nice holiday weekend. What were Scotty and I doing over the holiday? We were working. We were Friday working. We were Monday working. Scotty, I think you noticed that yesterday when we just decided to give people just kind of an hour of power, it was a powerful hour. I mean, I almost wish we could just go back in, share that with the people. But it was what we were meaning to do was kind of react to some of the things that Dave Aranda had said on his Monday news conference. What it ended up being was a pretty intense rant, followed by a really nice discussion between the two of us on various topics. And as you might imagine, Scotty was a little bit more forgiving / kind of could see the makings of some good things that came out of that game. Although even Scotty, because Scotty recognized that an off season full of good feelings and pointing toward a game, that when it doesn't go your way, you can't just move on. You can't take the attitude of, well, we'll get them next week. Let's go get the Mustangs. Like I can't understand the mentality. There's a mentality in certain reporters, and it doesn't matter if it's writers or TV people or whatever, but they're like, I've never understood the mentality of like trying to let a coach off the hook. And like that, where you show up at the news conference after like a devastating loss, and your first instinct is to go, Coach, gonna go. You got a big game coming up next week. You're kind of happy you're playing SMU so you can bounce back. That's not the question for that day. You might be able to ask that in a Monday. You can't go in there to that news conference. And I believe me, I'm not in charge of the media, and I can't be in there scolding different members of the media. You shouldn't have brought up SMU. I'm not going to do that. But and that's why I said yesterday, and I don't want to, Scotty kind of liked that yesterday. I was like angrier than usual. I don't know if it had something to do with the holiday. I don't know. But I think he was kind of like, do that more often. And I'm going to be however I'm feeling that day. If I'm cranky and I'm in the mood to go off on something, I'll do it. If I'm in more of a laid-back mood, that's who it'll be. Okay, we won't do a lot of manufactured stuff that you see on some of these debate shows. Like, hey, Scotty, if I say this, you say that. Scotty and I do not operate like that. All right? I mean, unless Scotty, it gets us like 10 more people following us, then maybe we'll do it. Maybe we'll go that route. But anyway, we've been posting. We want you to tell others. We're going to get more and more people, and it's exciting. And we're growing our Green and Gold Game Day show as well. And we got SMU coming up. I'll be on campus. I'll be there with kind of on-site reports that you've come to expect from me. And then we'll have a lot of stuff going on back at the studio. And so that'll be exciting as we get you ready for Baylor and the Mustangs. And what we're going to do today is we do have at 2:00 one of my longtime Mustang buddies who is with the On3 Sports Network on the Pony Express, I believe is what they call that site. But Kevin is a longtime journalist, used to cover the Texas Rangers for the Dallas Morning News and the Arlington Morning News. And so we go way back, and we can talk the rivalry. Kevin had the misfortune of showing up at SMU like right after the death penalty. Right after they'd come back from the death penalty was when SMU was at when Kevin was at SMU. But he knows this team. And then I understand on the Pete Souza show, he's lined up Craig James later this week. I mean, again, that's good and bad, Scotty. For the SMU, that's probably the only place, that's the only campus left in the country Craig is safe on. is SMU because of the greatness that he was there. But like to a certain, like you wouldn't be able to bring Craig James on like a Texas Tech show. After, he was kind of blamed for the demise of Mike Leach. The only thing you could bring him on is to talk some SMU Mustang. But I love the history of it. I just saw his running back mate. I just saw Dickerson out at the Cowboys training camp, and he said he was going to be at some SMU games. In fact, I noticed he was honored on the field before whoever they just played, like East Texas A&M. I don't know what they call them now. East Texas A&M. I think they played them. And what I'm told is the Mustangs were not looking that great the other night. I mean, they won going away. I'm not saying it was close, but let me just say the Mustangs did not set the world on fire with that ball game. Because we're up, as Parcells used to say, we're up to our own A's and alligators. So when it comes to Baylor, so we weren't paying much attention to East Texas A&M and whatever they brought into Ford Field. Bears show up on Saturday, and there we will go. Last night, Scotty, we were treated to some football. Bill Belichick, you had Michael Jordan, Mia Hamm, Lawrence Taylor, all the greats. Roy Williams was out there. All the North Carolina greats were in the house. It was supposed to be like a celebration. It was the first outing for the great Belichick, opening day, and UNC. Capacity crowd. They're so excited. One of the first times I've seen them that excited for football instead of basketball. And about 4 hours later, about 3.5 hours later, and by the time the third quarter got there, early in the third quarter, they were streaming for the exits. The Horned Frogs went in there. They took all the Belichick talk. They took it all personally. The fact that that's all ESPN was talking about, and they left one on them. And Scotty, based on that one game and based on some of the numbers he's put up over the years, goodness gracious. You said you weren't particularly impressed with Sawyer Robertson's outing against Auburn. And I'm the same way. I mean, he threw for a ton of yards. It's just based on how great he was at times and how accurate he was at times last season. It sort of paled in comparison to that. For all that, we think of Sawyer and the Levitt kid at Arizona State, and whoever Rocco Becht or Avery Johnson, who Scotty hates. I mean,
I don't hate people, Matt Mosley. I just
created the fight between the Johnson family. I mean, he is the one following that game that happened over in Dublin. I think too many beers prompted that fight. But father and son got in a fight after that. But I'll say this, Scotty, if I'm doing the power rankings of Big 12 quarterbacking, like after each game, okay, let's not say, oh, this guy's the best NFL quarterback. Let's just base it week to week after how everybody played. I don't know how anybody in the world could put anybody ahead of Josh Hoover, the TCU quarterback. He had the one pick. That was a tip ball pick down the red zone. Didn't love that, but he was awesome. I mean, the way he threw it, his touch, the chemistry with the receivers. Scotty, TCU fired a warning shot to the rest of the conference. Here we are, and here is our social media team. We may have the best social media team in the conference. Scotty, that's the way you come out and establish yourself on the road.
Matt Mosley, I agree with you. Josh Hoover's very good. I ranked him as my third favorite quarterback preseason on the Pete Souza show. But I'm gonna tell you something. It wasn't just Josh Hoover that put the Big 12 on notice. Did you see what Devin Dampier did for Utah over the weekend?
I mean, how quickly we deflect The man will not let me brag on TCU
I
at
can't
all.
do it.
Matt,
I can't do it.
Did you
I can't
see
do it.
what Eric Dampier did? That's the former Mavs great. What is this young man's name? Devin Dampier?
Devin Dampier. So here's what I want to point out. Baron Morton, Devin Dampier, Jalen Daniels, and Rocco Becht, all from week 1, have a higher QBR than Josh Hoover. And Sawyer Robertson, despite playing his worst game of the season, I'm confident, threw for 150 more yards, another touchdown, and no interceptions. So but I love seeing Belichick get embarrassed. Matt Mosley, did I tell you about my bet with Pete?
I lied about what I said. We will not have manufactured arguments, because the minute I say one nice thing about Hoover,
it's a real conversation.
Matt, 7. I know. I mean, because Lord knows we didn't plan it. That was. I thought Hoover in that first half, though. I got to say, I don't know what the numbers, but at one point I looked up and he was like 16 for 19. He had a stretch where he was like 10 for 10. He was awesome. Now, again, if you want to get married to QBR, we'll hold the ceremony for you. But that kid was playing some ball last night. Now, wait, what were you? Oh, yeah. Back to the embarrassment, though.
Listen, that's what I thought we were going to talk about, was embarrassing Belichick. And I've got a bet with Pete going on. I bet Pete that Belichick would not win as many games as Mac Brown won last year, which was 6. I bet that UNC would win less than 6 games this season. And about halfway through that game last night, the bet was Diamondbacks. Diamondbacks is the bet. For those of you who are not Waco locals, that's one of our fine steakhouses here, one of the more expensive places to eat here in Waco.
It's not a baseball team.
And Pete texted me halfway through the game last night and said, "How do you like your steak?" So I was having a great time. Despite being a TCU hater, I was having a great time.
I don't know, man. That place where you have some connections, I've been wanting to go over there for the shared experience, some tapas. Waco needed something like that. Bring on some tapas. Boy, we used to go over and get some major tapa experience over in Dallas. Okay. Belichick looked so unbelievably miserable in this thing. And I mean, it was comical. And then I did not in the first half get to see, I think they did have the camera did catch Jordan Hudson. What I wondered is, were they going to have like a Taylor Swift type camera on the 24-year-old girlfriend of Belichick? The answer is no. But they did, after that first touchdown, they went to that box or suite or wherever she was, and they got him a Jordan Hudson shot. I didn't hang deep into the game. I know the final score is 48-14. Scotty, did you hang around to see if we got any more Jordan Hudson close-ups or anything kind of showing Jordan, feeling miserable? Okay. All right. You had already bailed at that point.
That's true. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I'm telling you, it was a great night for Sonny Dykes and the Horned Frogs, which is rarely good for Baylor. It was a good night for the Big 12. And it was and that's the only thing. And Dion faced a little bit of this too. When you get this much attention and when you take up this much airspace, and then when you get up and announce in front of your kids, hey, we got this Hulu thing, we got this Hulu show. I mean, you open yourself up. And Scotty, that TCU social media team, they walked right through. They walked right through the door. And the minute that thing started getting out of hand, and the minute that game ended, I mean, you've never seen a university clown on something quite like they did. There's this Deadspin, which I didn't even know still existed, said, "Babe, wake up. Bill Belichick coaches college football today." Of course, a lot of people did that, and they were all excited about that. At TCU, moments after the game. Babe, go back to sleep. Okay, here we go. Oh, here's the one I was referencing. There's Bill. Carolina football put this out, and that making the announcement just a few days ago, last week. Excited to showcase our program this fall on Hulu, which I'm sure he was so excited. And then TCU football. When does episode 1 come out? That's good. There's another one. If Matt Patricia has Arch Manning in hell, what do we think Bill Belichick will do to the poor kid at TCU? And again, they're clowning on people that barely have any followings. I bet, Scotty, if you looked at Borish, I bet Borish is not like the king of sports, but it just makes it even more hilarious that TCU football is out there surfing around, looking at social media, and they respond, I guess we'll never know. Wow. Scotty, as we say, they were in their bag last night. And then they did one of those things where they have the little medley, and they do the Fear of the Frog. What do they call that thing? The Hyper Frog or the Hypno Frog. And they kind of do that. And then they piece together a bunch of crazy social media. I mean, I am rarely jealous of the frog. I mean, my in-laws tried to say that we're watching our game the other night and they thought something looked purple about our uniforms. And I said, no. Something's wrong with your TV. There's nothing about Baylor that will ever look purple or anything like that. But I have to say, that was a fun night for the Frogs, okay? And so let's give them their skip. And we'll come back to it. Because, after we have our guest, Scotty, today, we need to get back into the college football weekend. Because after our time at the Baylor-Auburn game, I went to A&M UTSA. Then I watched Miami-Notre Dame. And then we topped it off with the TCU. So we have a full smorgasbord. And then let's remember, at about 35 after, we'll have Campus Confidential. And I know we have a new I'm sorry, Scotty. I move so much, and that camera is like the most sensitive camera ever. Come back, find me. I'm back up here. There you are. At some point, Scotty, I'll find out how to address that. But for now, I'll just try to not try to move quite as much. If you're wondering what the LH is, it's for Lake Highlands. That's my high school team. And Scotty, what is your high school team, by the way? Do you have a high school team? Do you have a local team you've either adopted, or remind me where you grew up?
Matt, I am a K through 12 graduate of China Spring High School.
That's right. So you are a state champion, and I cannot believe you let Cam and Drake and those guys act like they were like the kings of China Spring. And that was probably before you got back into the media.
Correct.
But you need to own that beat, sir. I mean, unless you just don't want to.
The plan, not to just overexpose the backstage workings at Rogue Media Network, but the plan was for Scotty Swingler to call China Spring football this year, and then we decided to do a green and gold game day show.
Well, it's not too late. Okay. All right. Nope. I'm a green and gold game day guy from the very start. And Scotty, boy, you talk about yeoman's effort. Jeez, we were glad to be out there Friday, and all the people who stopped by, and we're going to be telling people more about what all we're doing. And that was a lot of people, Scotty, came by the set and were very interested in what we were doing. And then I went to the Letter Winners Lounge after the game, or at halftime, and everybody was like, "Where have you gone? Where are you? We miss you on the radio. It's so nice." And I'm like, "Hey, I'm with Rogue Media Network. You can find me on YouTube." And of course, there's that certain age, Scotty, that's like, okay, tell me more about that. But even our friends that have entered their 60s and 70s are finding, hey, here we are. There's YouTube. And we're going to be providing more and more clips, more and more entry points into the Mosley show. Now, we won't do all these, Scotty, because we won't have time. We'll do it later in the program. We'll come back to it. But I did want to mention today was an interesting story on ESPN.com about the inner workings of the Micah Parsons and Cowboys trade. And you can tell they were talking to major insiders. And so they tried to give readers a front row view on why the confusion happened, why Jerry thought he had a deal done with Micah. Micah basically, again, unless somebody's just lying, it does sound like Micah was really trying to negotiate on his own. And then they tried to come in and use that agreement as a jumping off point. Now, I think where Jerry erred is, first of all, if you got a 25-year-old young guy in your office seeming to negotiate, it's almost like, to me, it's like Miranda rights. You have done this enough where you should say you have the right to an attorney. You have the right to have your agent in there. To me, Jerry crossed the line in trying to take advantage of a deal. Now, where I think the agent and Micah might have crossed the line is I think Micah let Jerry believe there was a number. This is an interesting story to read. Y'all need to go read this because it looks like Micah started like going back and trying to sweeten the deal, and Jerry was okay with it. Jerry gave him the sweeteners. And then they tried to start the negotiation from an agreement that had already been made. Here's the way you read stories. If you are already given to like hating Jerry, you'll still hate Jerry. But if you're sort of going to that story with an open mind, you sort of understand why Jerry thought he had a deal done. I think Jerry made the wrong move in trying to handle it that way, and he ended up embarrassing a young player, and it got completely sideways. And then with Micah's behavior, he embarrassed himself, and he made Jerry mad. And the biggest problem is that negotiation happened in March. When that thing went sideways a little bit in April, you know what should have been happening, Scotty Swingler? I don't know why you and I suddenly call each other by first and last names constantly, but whatever. Scotty, you know why they should have gotten the deal done? If the things went sideways truly there, you could have gotten so much more for him in that draft. First of all, you could have gotten your 2 first-round picks, the one you already had, the new one, and you could have in this draft. You go, Matt, it wasn't that good of a draft. Give me a break. Give me a break. I mean, unless you are a GM or you're like that, or Nagy, who used to run that Senior Bowl, stop saying that. Matt, the 2027 class is going to be way better than the 2026 class. You don't know. You don't know that. Some of these college kids, because you've fallen in love with the Ohio State receiver. So because you've fallen in love with one player, I'm supposed to believe everything you say on the rest of the draft class. Whatever. You're justifying your brilliance as a draft person, as a draft guru. That's an embarrassment. Okay, that's too much. You're taking it too far. But today, ESPN did what it should do. Instead of just debating the great debate, I'm going to do my 28th segment today on the Cowboys, they got Micah's agent on the show. They got him on First Take. And they had Jerry on recently, and this is really the first interview he had done. And so pretty dang cool that they did this, and they got the agent on. And I thought the agent, I'm not saying everything he said was completely factual. I just found him to be compelling and interesting. And so we're going to share a little bit of this with you. So the first one, Scotty, let's play and react to is Stephen A. Smith, who's become he's the new Oprah when it comes to whose couch do you want to sit in sports. Oh, I got a bad negotiation. Oh, I got people mad at me. Let's go talk to Stephen. I mean, it's an odd thing that's happened, but Stephen A's become sort of the chosen interview guy. And the thing is, I don't even know if he's that good at interviewing. He's fine. I'm not saying he's bad, but he's not like Jeremy Schaap, who's going to go in there, know all the questions and ask very layered questions. You know, Stephen A's he's more in the moment guy, but that's fine. Let's start with this one. What Stephen A wants to know, what really happened with the whole Micah Parsons situation?
Jones is of the mindset that there was a negotiation that took place between him and Micah Parsons, and then he gets a call from Micah Parsons, and Micah Parsons ultimately calls him back and says, don't call me anymore, call my agent. After an agreement was reached, you guys appear to be diametrically opposed in terms of your interpretation of what transpired. Break down for the audience exactly what transpired. What was Micah Parsons talking to Jerry Jones about? What actually happened that had Jerry Jones get to a point where he believed the negotiation was completed before somebody like yourself got in the way, per se?
Definitely. As far as Micah's concerned, he was out of the country. He got a call from Jerry's assistant and was asked to come in to meet about leadership. So when he got back from his vacation, he came in and he gave them a call, told him he was back, he was ready to meet. At some point during that meeting that was represented to him was going to be about leadership, it turned into contract talk. And, if you're a 25-year-old football player and your boss, who happens to be the most powerful person in the NFL, starts talking about contracts, it's hard for you to end that conversation. So they had a conversation. Micah nodded his head out of respect. Obviously, there's a power dynamic that's a little different there. One guy is the owner of the team and the GM, and the other one is Micah Parsons, a young 25-year-old football player. So I'm not sure if there was a miscommunication there by the time Micah walked out, but at no point did Micah believe that he was negotiating a contract.
Okay. Boy, the Jerry side says otherwise. Each one of them, we can't even agree on who called the meeting. They say, the agent Micah say, Jerry wanted to talk about leadership, brought him in, and then it turned into negotiations. And the Jerry said Micah is the one who wanted the meeting. And of course, they had sat together at maybe it was a Super Bowl or some game, and they'd spent time together in the off season. And so Jerry was more than open to that. I mean, he loves talking to players, but they can't even agree on who set up the meeting. Now, he's right about the balance of power. You do have one player who makes a ton of money, is a great player. And we'll hear more on this as we get into the show later in the show. But what the agent ends up saying is, Mike is not a lawyer. He's going to say that later on. And it's true. And he's paid to chase quarterbacks. And Jerry really did seem to take advantage of a situation. Now, why did he do that? Well, partly Micah's fault. Micah had already expressed a willingness to sign a below market deal to help his team. Now, of course, he said this before the market started to get set. And again, this is the problem always with Cowboys negotiations. They don't just wait for the market to get set, but then they wait till the final moment, which is why we all thought that Micah, like today or tomorrow, that is when this deal would have gotten done, because it's the same way with CD, same way with Dak. Dak's got done on the first opening day. Zach Martin, Zeke, all of these things eventually got done. The difference here is that anger got involved. Pettiness got involved. disrespect got involved. Now, Jerry, if Micah hadn't have shown up at camp and generally displayed a poor attitude during practices, got on that medicine table, training table during a preseason game, and generally just acted in a very immature fashion. If that stuff hadn't happened, but boy, what we didn't know and what we kind of know now is that all of those things, plus some of his off-season or even in-season, the fact that after games, after horrible losses, that kind of thing, he's always doing his podcast. That, you think, well, that shouldn't be a big deal. It really stuck in the craw of players like DeMarcus Lawrence, Tank, they called him, very much so. Stuff like that really, really bothered some of his teammates and some of his former teammates who are still out there. You're starting to hear comments along those lines. Now, later in the program, after we got a major SMU insider, Kevin Lonnquist, great friend of mine, coming up around 2:00 today. And that's going to be a good interview. You're going to like it because he went to SMU. He's older than I am, which really makes him, he's really been around. But he just has a great appreciation for SMU's culture, how far they've come, what this rivalry has meant over the years. And then he also covers recruiting, so he knows who all SMU's lining up and like the strength of their team. And so there's a lot of cool stuff. And by the way, later this week, I believe Thursday, Pete Souza's having Craig James on, former NFL and the former SMU great. And that's a good get because Craig James is an extremely controversial figure in a lot of ways. And Pete will be good to interview him because Pete probably, I'm not sure, well, he was around. He knows how much the tech people hate him, but I don't even know. And then, of course, Craig James was running for U.S. Senate along that time. And so that killed his political career, what happened out there at Texas Tech with his son and the firing of Mike Leach. So lots to get to this week. Tell you what I'd like to do, though, and we'll come back to the Micah because we get some really good stuff with Micah and his agent. But Scotty's got some awesome stuff for Campus Confidential. Let's do that next.
Are you ready to take control of your health? At 4U Health, we believe wellness and lab testing should be accessible, inclusive, and yes, fun. With our tech-powered at-home lab test, you save time and money while feeling your best. Say goodbye to long waits and office visits. Check your health on your own terms with 4U Health. Visit 4uhealth.com today and free yourself from traditional medicine. That's the number 4uhealth.com. Get ready for epic savings at Best Buy. Right now, you can save up to $700 on select Alienware and Dell gaming products. Perfect for leveling up your gaming experience. Plus, grab the latest Android Google Pixel at an unbeatable price. Don't miss these incredible deals. Shop now at bestbuy.com and upgrade your tech today. At Fullwell, we bring together the expertise of registered dietitians, MDs, and OBGYNs to give you the best fertility support. Our research-backed bioavailable formulas are crafted with your health in mind, ensuring the highest quality and safety. From preconception to pregnancy and beyond, we exceed industry standards with independent testing for harmful contaminants. With our comprehensive practitioner directory, personalized care is always within reach. Fullwell, your trusted partner on your fertility journey. Visit us at fullwellfertility.com. Experience the perfect blend of exquisite craftsmanship and life-changing technology with Gevi. Every product is built with precision, featuring specialized parts that ensure durability, efficiency, and safety. We put every machine through 6,000 rigorous tests to guarantee long-lasting performance. With cutting-edge technology and a commitment to energy efficiency, Gevi makes your life easier, greener, and more convenient. Upgrade your everyday with Gevi. Visit us at gevi.com to discover more. That's gevi.com.
Have you ever watched true crime television and wondered, how did they get that story? I can show you. I was a producer for 48 Hours on CBS News. In my exclusive tell-all book, I'll take you where no audience has ever gone before. Don't miss out. Secure your copy of Killer Story: The Truth Behind True Crime Television today. Available everywhere books are sold.
With San, owning iconic furniture no longer requires paying a premium. We use the finest materials like Italian top-grain leather, known for its durability and luxurious feel, and apply meticulous attention to detail in every piece we create. Our replicas are crafted with the same care and precision as the originals, but a price that makes them accessible. With over 15,000 satisfied customers worldwide, we've proven that high-quality furniture doesn't have to come with a high price tag. Explore our collection today at san.com.
At Covers & All, we've revolutionized protective solutions with cutting-edge, customizable covers, tarps, and curtains. Using advanced tech fabrics that are 100% waterproof, UV tear, and abrasion-resistant, we ensure lasting durability with hand-sewn double-stitch seams. Our commitment to quality, precision engineering, and customizable options is unmatched. With vertically integrated operations and express shipping, we deliver premier protection at affordable prices. Visit coversandall.com today for the perfect fit, guaranteed to last.
We haven't been looking for you. Wake up.
Hellhound Country, available anywhere you get your podcasts. Protect your online privacy with NordVPN. Browse securely, access content from anywhere, and keep your data safe with military-grade encryption. Whether at home or on the go, NordVPN ensures your digital freedom. Stay secure. Download NordVPN today at nordvpn.com. That's NORDVPN.com.
When Central National Bank decided to partner with Baylor Women's Basketball, we didn't know exactly what that partnership would look like.
What brings you into the bank today?
For the last couple of months, I've been noticing a charge on my account, and I would like to block it.
I see. So you have a charge?
Yes.
And you'd like to block it?
Yes.
I think you should take the charge.
What?
Yeah, I definitely think you should take the charge.
I don't think you understand.
Sometimes you just have to take one for the team.
Is there a manager available?
We love that Coach Colin is all about the team. Once we get the vocabulary down, the sky's the limit.
Central National Bank, proud partner of Baylor Athletics and Baylor Women's Basketball.
I have Mac Rhodes, director of Baylor Athletics, on the phone. Mac, can you tell Peggy why she should take the charge?
Of course she should take the charge. Wait, are you at the bank again? And who is Peggy?
Oh man, right back. Scotty, we are rolling here on the Matt Mosley Show. I was just looking, Scotty, and we got Campus Confidential. Excited to have it going. There it is, and we'll get. It's where Scotty throws out some headlines. Scotty, I did text you. I was just in the break, which is why I was kind of sitting there unaware that you were about to roll back to me. I know you were trying to text me. I was texting you, though, the new Mike Gundy cellular ad. Have you seen it yet?
No, I received that from you about three seconds before we came back from break. So I haven't opened it yet.
Okay. Yeah, this is
but
I would like to, this is when, for people that are new to the program, to the Mosley Show experience, this is when Scotty peppers me with some of the best headlines out there in college football, college athletics. This time of year, it's a lot of college football stuff. Scotty, what do you have for me?
Well, it's funny that you sent me that Mike Gundy advertisement, Matt, because we're going to talk about Mike Gundy first. I'm going to show you an image, and I want you to guess if this is photoshopped or real. Here's the image. Is this photoshopped or it's real?
I wish this was like a daily game. I like this. I think a lot of people could play along at home. I've got this as absolutely real. because it's Mike Gundy and because we both know he kind of likes to show off how ripped he is and that kind of thing. To me, this whole thing you're about to talk about was an excuse to show us that the man has been getting his burpees in, or whatever you call that, lunges.
So for those who may be listening to the Matt Mosley show, first of all, come over to YouTube for the full experience. But it was an image of Mike Gundy pulling his shirt up above his nipples, seemingly showing his chest to the camera. Matt Mosley, here's the video of this very real moment from a press conference over the weekend.
Movie Christmas Story, y'all ever watch that? Yeah. Where the kid goes down to... Well, that's how I came out. And when we broke the huddle, like Nebraska's defensive line had their shirts tied up. And I thought, this is not good. But I do remember that. So
for context, Gundy talking about playing at Nebraska in his playing career. So Matt Mosley, Mike Gundy gives us another press conference instant classic.
You know, he's good at like knowing how to change the narrative a little bit, because for a while this week, you know, he had fired a shot at Oregon about how they spend, you know, how, and he was basically taking a poke. He's like, we've spent like $7 million in 3 years. And they spent $40 million on their roster last year. And so he's doing that whole thing. And he got under Dan Lanning's skin, and Lanning fired back. But see, now everybody's talking about either this commercial that he's making or the fact that he pulled up his shirt. So Gundy, I don't know how good OSU or how bad they might be this year. I would say that when you're looking at the coaches that are like the heir apparents, who is going to inherit there'll never be another Mike Leach, right? There'll never be someone that odd, that funny, that weird. I would say the best out there at being that person is Mike Gundy. And so it makes sense that they're a little bit from, you know, that Gundy would kind of be from the Leach tree, one of the branches. I'm trying to think of Gundy stops over the years, but they certainly have crossed paths many, many times over the years. And while Gundy played at Oklahoma State and had a more decorated career where he came from than Leach, who went to law school and then ended up at some, you know, Iowa Wesley Lutheran or something out there with Hal Mummy. I think, can you think of anybody else, Scotty, that encapsulates the ethos or the personality that was Leach better than Mike Gundy?
No.
Who else out there? Is there anybody even on Gundy's level in terms of saying interesting and weird things in the Big 12 right now?
No.
Who's closest? Rand? I think it's
nobody.
No, I think it's Dave. I mean, the whole.
They're just so different, though. Leach and Gundy are so boisterous about it. Aranda's just kind of chuckling to himself, like, "Have you ever seen Wolf of Wall Street? You know that one scene." Like, he's so. I mean, he's out there. Don't get me wrong, but I just don't even put them in the same category.
No, the more I think about it, the more Leach-like that I think Aranda is, because I think he's a genius, a mad genius, and I think he becomes obsessed with things like Leach did. Now you're right; they have a different presentation. They're both kind of odd. They're both kind of awkward. Gundy is a little more forceful, and he probably, in his own way, has a better delivery than Leach. But Leach's delivery was just so great. And I've been around people who got tired of it. but I always found it entertaining. And even the fat little girlfriend speech, that famous stuff he used to do. He was not only funny, but irreverent. He was not a politically correct guy. And I say this to audiences sometimes, and one interesting thing, Scotty, that I don't know if I haven't said it on this show because this show's so new, but when the week or two before Mike Leach died unexpectedly and so tragically at that age, because he still had a lot to give, he was in the process of trying to bring one Art Briles to Mississippi State. And I've said this in a few spaces, but I do know this to be true because, well, Art's told me this. And I don't know what role it would have been, but I do think Mike Leach is one of the few people in college athletics who could have taken all the arrows that would have been coming his way. Now, the president or the AD at Mississippi State, I'm not sure if they could have taken it because nobody ever sort of understands what's about to hit them until they get ready to hire Art. And Grambling found out the hard way. But anyway, I just thought I would share that because I haven't said that here. Oh man, I can't even read that. Let's do another one. This is supposed to be quick hitting, Scotty, but man, sometimes I love your stories so much. I have a hard time doing the quick hitting thing. What else do you have in Campus Confidential?
Well, of course, Arch Manning's debut was less than impressive by most metrics. The projected number 1 pick as soon as he comes out looked like anything but an NFL-ready quarterback and so on. X over the weekend, videos from his high school tape were resurfacing. I was someone who had actually watched Arch Manning's high school tape before over the weekend, but this one in particular seemed to strike a chord with a lot of people. As we try to break down how Arch Manning played football at the 2A level in Louisiana. Let me just take you back. We'll watch how long he's looking downfield without deciding to throw the football. Look at that defensive lineman.
That's right. That's good pursuit. That's been in your hips right there.
Some good perspective on the kind of competition that one Arch Manning was playing at the 2A level in Louisiana.
I think my favorite was those clips they had of like Uncle Rico from Napoleon Dynamite. Did you see some of that?
Yeah.
There was one particular throw, and he threw it behind the Texas receiver, and it was a really off-schedule, weird sidearm thing. And then they had Uncle Rico when he threw something at Napoleon on his bike.
Yeah,
whatever that was, he threw at him. I had to say, but that same guy who played Uncle Rico, he's in The White Lotus. Do you watch that show at all?
No, but
it's a really good show. And in this most recent one and one before, the guy who played Uncle Rico has a major part in it. And oh my gosh, that is too funny. I don't want to pile on because I really want Arch to bounce back and to be really good. And I think, obviously he has a lot of games left to do that, but I don't think it could have gone worse. You get shut down. You get some poor plays down there around the goal line. You had a coach who didn't seem to trust Arch in that game. And I just think we thought because it was Arch and Texas was ranked number 1, that everything would be okay. And the whole time I kept thinking, dang, man, that's a tough place to open. It's a tough crowd. And, Scotty, let's not act like that Ohio State offense was ready for prime time. That did not. And, again, part of it is because Texas defense is probably pretty good. And they did look good at times. But that quarterback was doing the same thing Arch was. In fact, he has even less experience than Arch. And he was trying to get his career started. And you got to credit Ryan Day. And you got to say, some of these things I've seen about like Sark's teams against top 5 opponents, come on. You got to look at it. Georgia, Ohio State now twice. I mean, you got to look at these things and go, man, he's had some. I mean, to be the greatest play caller in all of college football is what people seem to call him. He has some pretty lackluster efforts against some of the big time teams. So rough one. Okay, you got one more for me?
I got one more. Matt Mosley. I'm going to show you a kickoff return. I want you to guess this player's name. He plays for Furman. Watch this kickoff return.
That's tough. This is a tough trivia that I got to guess a Furman kid's name.
It's like just electric.
Toughest question I've ever been asked. Man.
Who does he look like on this return, Matt Mosley? Who does he remind you of?
Wait a second. Do we think this is a Baylor kid or something?
No.
Hold on here. Who does he remind me of? Oh man. What, the Auburn kid from the other night? I don't know. Who does he remind you of?
Matt Mosley, this kick return went viral because the kick returner's name is Devin Hester Jr. However,
it's not him. It's not Devin's kid.
He is not.
Oh my gosh.
He is not the son of NFL Hall of Famer Devin Hester, though Devin Hester has a son named Devin Hester Jr. This is a different Devin Hester Jr., who is an electric, dynamic kick returner for Furman. And so he had his viral moment after that return on Saturday.
Wow, that is fascinating. The Devin Hester Jr., but not that one. I think if you're that fast and you're that good of a return man, you just make life easier on everybody. I'm not saying he has to go live with the Chicago Bear Devin Hester. Who is he in the Hall of Fame now?
Yes.
Devin Hester,
yes.
Pro Football Hall of Famer. You get to stay with your family of origin, but just to keep everybody from being confused, you just go ahead and get to call that Devin Hester your dad. And just roll with it. And it'll help you with NIL. It'll help you with portal. It'll help you with everything. I do think if you have the same name and you run like that, you should be able to tap into the family fame. All right. Even if you're not true Hester blood, I would be okay with him going just not having to explain himself every time and saying when asked, yes, Devin Hester, the Chicago Bears great, is my father. All right. Oh, man, that was good. I mean, my gosh. Scotty, I really applaud you for that one, okay? There was no better Campus Confidential in the country today than that one. All right, we do have major guest. And it is my buddy, and he's a big-time SMU insider. It is Kevin Lonnquist. He joins us next.
Transform your workspace with Hanomi Ergonomics. From adjustable chairs to standing desks, we provide solutions for comfort and productivity, whether at home or in the office. Improve your posture, reduce strain, and work smarter. Visit us at hanomi.co today. That's HINOMI.co today. Unlock a world of convenience with Mullybox, your one-stop solution for personalized subscription boxes delivered right to your door. Each box is tailored to your tastes. Experience the joy of surprises. Subscribe today at mullybox.com. That's MULLYBOX.com. Unlock your full potential with Onnit, your go-to for premium supplements, fitness gear, and wellness essentials. Whether you're training hard, recovering faster, or just looking to feel your best, Onnit has the tools you need to perform at your peak. Visit Onnit, that's ONNIT.com, and elevate your mind, body, and spirit today. At Rolls Rolla, we don't just sell wallpaper, we create cohesive, cozy spaces. Our deep understanding of design means every pattern, color, and texture is carefully chosen to complement your home. Plus, we use advanced technology and water-based inks for vibrant, eco-friendly prints, ensuring a healthier environment. Visit rollsrolla.com to transform your space today. That's ROLLSROLLA.com today.
Relax with Hemp Delicious. Organically grown hemp, massively blended with delicious organic herbs, responsibly sourced for their holistic benefits. Each sip offers calming, antioxidant-rich wellness. Brewed just for you. Sip the calm with Hemp Delicious. Find your blend at hempdelicious.com.
At Tusane's, we understand that maintaining a healthy lifestyle can be challenging, especially in today's fast-paced world. That's why our mission is to make fitness accessible to everyone, anywhere. Committed to excellence, we adopt a user-centric approach guided by ergonomics and medical science. With a team of seasoned professionals in R&D, design, and manufacturing, we prioritize quality across our entire product line. Visit Tusanes.com today and start your journey to better health. That's TOUSAINS.com.
Ready to bring your vision to life? At Small Rig, every idea, design, and product is inspired by you, the creator. With our industry-first under co-design mode and the Dream Rig free customization project, we unite with global creators to turn big dreams into reality. Whether it's a cage rig or mount, Small Rig's versatile gear is built to elevate your craft. Small Rig, where your creativity meets our innovation. Go to smallrig.com.
Calling all Marvel fans, get Marvel Unlimited and unlock over 30,000 comics featuring your favorite heroes and iconic stories, all available to read anytime, anywhere. Whether you're into classic tales or the latest adventures, there's something for everyone. Don't miss out. Head to marvel.com/unlimited today and start your Marvel journey now. At Angel Bliss, we believe every parent's journey is a beautiful adventure. Our mission is to make it joyful and stress-free with thoughtful, safe, and innovative products. Born from a love for family, we promise peace of mind for parents and comfort for babies. From playtime to bedtime, every Angel Bliss product is designed with care, reliability, and a style to nurture the special bond between parent and child. Angel Bliss, creating happy memories, one baby at a time. Visit us at angelbliss.us. Angel Bliss.
Matt Mosley Show, and more and more people signing up, finding out about us by the day. And the man from On the Pony Express. Oh, there he is. There he is. It looked like he might have an Alito ball cap on. My longtime buddy from the Arlington Morning News days. He used to cover the Texas Rangers. He now covers SMU, his alma mater. He's been a tremendous recruiting writer over the years. In fact, used to cover the Baylor Bears. Had a good run covering the Bears and Rivals.com for a while, and now from the On3 family and On the Pony Express. Kevin Lonnquist, also the play-by-play voice of Alito Bearcat football. Kevin, welcome to the show. How many state titles does Alito have now? Can you give us the latest on that?
Thanks, Matt. It's good to see you and good to be with you. So they are at 12. It's been 11 since 2009. So what is that, 15 seasons that they've won it? And this is actually my 20th season covering the Bearcats. And I always like to use a frame of reference that my two daughters were in kindergarten and second grade when I got started. And here we are. That was 2006. So here, 2025, my oldest is 4 years out of school and my youngest is 3 years out of school, and they're both teachers. So that means that you and I are just getting really, really old, Matt. So that's
speak for yourself, sir. It is Kevin Lonnquist and Kevin, you went to SMU. I went to Baylor. You were there post death penalty. I was at those games. But before you really had become a big SMU guy, I guess, let me ask you this. Were you watching the Pony Express teams? Like how much were they on your radar back in the day? Because you would have been in high school, junior high or high school when all that was happening.
Yeah, I mean, I was there. I was following SMU in the Southwest Conference because, for those who don't know me, I was born in Texas, but then I lived a majority of my upbringing over in Las Vegas, Nevada. But I wanted to come back to college in Texas and that sort of thing. So actually, my first 2 years at SMU was the 2 years that SMU didn't play ball, 87 and 88. So I always tell the joke, I got accepted within 6 months of when SMU got hit with the death penalty. And of course, the jokes were flying in. Are you going there on a football scholarship? And I always would retort, you're real funny. Did you want to do stand-up somewhere? But, but obviously back to the point with the Dickerson and James teams and Lance McElhaney and those guys, they were fun to watch. And I got the fortune of watching SMU play out at UNLV back in those early, I think it was 84 when Don King was the quarterback. I think that might've been that last Southwest Conference championship team that went 10-2, and I think beat Notre Dame in the Aloha Bowl. Finished with top 10 in the nation or something like that. And so I got an appreciation for SMU up close at that time when I was watching that team. And obviously what has transpired, and I do tell people this, and I mean this in the strictest way of being not only a proud alum, but also one that can also look objectively at this. There were 2 death penalties that SMU suffered. There was the one that the NCAA handed down in 1987, February 25th, 1987, as all of us SMU alums can recall that date like the back of our hand. And that was when the 1987 season was shut down. The school chose to close 1988 because they didn't feel like they were going to be organized enough to field a team for a second season, which was probably the smart thing to do at the time. But then there was the second death penalty that the university gave to itself in terms of just prohibitive recruiting restrictions that really put SMU football in a spot where it was never going to be competitive. I think, Matt, we watched this because obviously as a Baylor writer for 14 years from 2009 to 2023, whenever you go through a major scandal like this or whatever you want to call it, when there's that correction, there's that course correction piece that follows, it's always overreaching because you don't want to do it you don't want to avoid those bad moments for the foreseeable future. SMU just went so far the other way though, Matt, that it was just impossible for it to be a really program for perhaps, pretty much throughout the 1990s and then really the early aughts. And then it started to kind of pick up when Gene Jones got there when he followed Phil Bennett.
Well, the 79 when Singletary was at Baylor and then 80 when I was a kid, the SMU Baylor games, both at Texas Stadium and then at Old Floyd Casey, which we used to call Baylor Stadium, were just epic battles. There was one game in particular, SMU had Baylor down, I think 21-0, and Baylor came back and won. SMU had a game like that it won 28-21. Baylor had one. Those teams were so great. So even when, Mike Ford was there playing quarterback and Ron Meyer was the coach, those were fun matchups in the late 70s. Bobby Collins gets to SMU, and then, again, both teams just throwing haymakers, incredible athletes. Baylor had, at the same time as you got Craig James and Eric Dickerson, Baylor has Walter Abercrombie and then Alfred Anderson. And so people can talk about, and I know you were joking about earlier, it's been a long time since SMU's beaten Baylor. And yes, I'm sure SMU will bring that up this week. But there was a time when these two programs were both really, really good from like about 79 to 84, 85 before all the scandal hit SMU. And the scandal, by the way, hit the rest of the conference. It just didn't cripple everybody else like it did SMU. And somehow Jackie Sherrill to this day is celebrated. I just visited the Jackie Sherrill Letterman's Lounge, and I thought to myself, here's a guy that probably did as much cheating, or probably not more, than Bobby Collins did. and they're naming things after him. But I want to get your thought on the programs where they are now, because you have a unique perspective. You were covering the team when the Bears win a Big 12 championship, and you've seen the ups and downs of the Aranda era, and you kind of know how he is recruited. Right. Baylor then goes to try to basically save Aranda. They go and hire one of SMU's best recruiters, which was Keenan Hall, the running backs coach, and Baylor made him the assistant head coach and had to pay him a lot more money to get him to come to Baylor. All right, the trajectory of these two programs are very interesting right now because SMU coming off the playoff, riding high, returning quarterback. Baylor, great running back coming back, great quarterback. I mean, it was a really disappointing loss to Auburn, but there's still this should be a tremendous matchup at SMU of two very high-powered offenses. And then it's going to come down to what can these two defenses do. Kevin, walk me through from an SMU perspective, like how big now that you've been through 1 year of the ACC, you had that immediate success. Like, is there at least a part of that fan base that wants to stick it to a Big 12 team, or is it more about just getting a win? What's the mindset coming into this very, very interesting week 2 game?
Well, I think it's maybe a matter of both, Matt, because the fact that, for people like me, our age and a little older than me, who remember those Southwest Conference matchups, is that they really want a bit of, there's going to be some nostalgia with that. Now, of course, since 1986, which was the last time SMU won this game, obviously they haven't beaten Baylor in 38, 39 seasons since then. So in my lifetime, in my connection to the school, I've never seen SMU beat Baylor in person, which is kind of like a thorn in my side. And I say that because of the fact that even though I covered Baylor for 14 years, but I think too, there's two ways to look at this. I mean, obviously the SMU fan base wants to beat Baylor for the fact that, yes, it's a Texas thing. And I think it's good for college football that you have these regional games that are still existing. And the fact that there was the willingness on Baylor's part that when SMU approached them as the TCU series is ending, that they really wanted to at least go home and home because SMU will be in Waco next year. So there's that part. But I also think, too, that SMU fans want to look at this and say, if we think we have a shot to go get back or at least stay in the ACC championship game race, and they've got some big games coming up at that time in October. They go to Clemson in October. Then they have Miami and Louisville in November. They have to go to Boston College in November. That if they want to try and get back to Charlotte, all these games matter. And if they want to try and get back to the playoffs, every game on the schedule matters. And so if you beat Baylor at home this coming Saturday morning, it obviously adds to that. Obviously, what Baylor has to do its part following this game, provided that SMU wins, that Baylor has a strong season because it helps SMU's metrics. I'm sure Baylor would look at it the same way, because if Baylor feels like it can win the Big 12 with this team, and if it beats SMU and SMU goes on to have a solid season, then I think the Bears will look at it the same way. I don't think now, as far as like the first game that SMU played, obviously it was a very choppy performance against East Texas A&M. Wasn't very good in the first half. 8 penalties, had some turnovers, some really misfires there. A couple of guys got hurt, which I do not expect to see them play this coming Saturday. Their linebacker, Alexander Kilgore, who I think was about ready to explode this year, and then their wide receiver, Jordan Hudson, who got hurt on the first play of the game. I'm not expecting them to play this coming Saturday. I think they would, but the good news is that they are expected to return this year. Will that be in time for TCU in 2 weeks after Baylor? I don't know. Will it be ready for the first ACC game on October 4th against Syracuse? Maybe that's kind of the outside hope of that. But I think SMU's in an interesting position here because they've got a lot of young guys playing wide receiver who they all got a lot of playing time last week. But the common denominator is going to be Kevin Jennings, their quarterback, who obviously had a phenomenal season. Had a couple turnovers last week, and that's been the one bugaboo that's been following him throughout his career. He has the ability to make the great play. He keeps a really low-key, placid demeanor about him. But the thing about him is that he has to avoid the turnovers. If he is turnover-free against Baylor on Saturday, I think SMU's chances to win that game are really high. If he commits, he can probably get away with one. But if he's at that threshold of 2 turnovers or more against that Baylor team, which I think is going to be pretty good this year, the running defense performance against Auburn notwithstanding. But if he turns it over twice, then they're going to have a problem on Saturday. So SMU is going to have to be cleaner. And I would like to think that the team that I watched on Saturday at Ford Stadium against East Texas A&M will look nothing like the team I expect to see Saturday morning against the Bears.
Wonder what I'm just trying to think. Baylor made a big to-do over their helmets against Auburn because they brought back some of those
the gold
chrome,
helmet, right?
the gold, the platinum gold, or whatever you would call those, and then the black uniforms. Well, does SMU prefer like the powder blue home jersey? I really would like to see an old SWC look because those gorgeous old power blues. I know they like to put Dallas on everything right now. I wish Baylor would go all white because that, when I think back on the rivalry, that's what's in my mind. Yeah. Baylor showing up in Singletary in the all whites and SMU in those gorgeous powder blues. Is that what we'll see? Probably,
yeah. I think they will announce their uniform on Thursday. Typically, most college teams who are playing on Saturday will tweet out what their uniform look will be like. SMU, obviously, as we're talking about this today, Tuesday, have a couple more days. My suspicion is that they're probably going to go with their traditional helmet, and then they're going to go with their traditional blue jersey with the white pants. You know, the throat, if you want to call the traditional look for them.
Yeah.
They broke out the red jerseys last week for the opener, which everyone claims is a curse. And I guess maybe you could look at it based on the way they played and the fact that two guys got hurt last week. But so they got rid of the red. So they got the red uniform thing out of the way. They do have an alternate black look that they will have black helmets with the triple logo on the triple D on it, which is, for people who don't know, that's actually the city of Dallas's logo. But SMU was able to work with the city to actually use that logo so they could use the Mustang.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's black jerseys and black pants, and they'll probably break that out for one of those. I have no idea if that would be for. I do know this. For all of us season ticket holders, of which I've been one for as long as Ford Stadium's been open, we've been given a color-coded system on what to wear for each of the games in the 2025 season. And we've just been told for this week's game that it's been red, white, and blue. Wear it all. So my suspicion would be, that's what the Mustangs wear.
I think SMU's gotten carried away with the Dallas thing. I think it's been successful. It's been a good marketing campaign, but I'll see like people show up at a high school game wearing SMU clothing, but it just says Dallas across the start of it. Well, that doesn't tell me anything. It'll have a Mustang on the shoulder or something, but the DDD or using the city's stuff. I mean, come on. I mean, to me, that's we don't need to get, because you'll debate me on this.
Oh yeah, I will debate you.
I know, but I think it's gotten carried away. But maybe. Okay.
Let's look at it from a perspective. You're looking at it from an outsider's perspective, which is understandable, Matt. But here's the rationale behind this. Keep in mind that when SMU went on the death penalty in 87 and 88, and its relationship with the city of Dallas was very frosty, and there was no relationship with it. And for whatever reason, or whatever Sonny Dykes did at the time when he took over back in 2018. He started to bring that relationship, started to reach out a little bit more to the city. And I think part of it was when Eric Johnson, the current mayor of Dallas, was receptive to that. And it started to take hold, that it started to resonate, especially in the areas, the lower income areas of Dallas, where SMU really had a problem with their. That was the biggest problem. And SMU did this for a couple of reasons. One, SMU needed to just become back. They call it the state of Dallas. That's what they call it, and for reasons because they have.
Who does that? Who calls it that?
SMU does that. SMU calls it the state of Dallas.
The state of Dallas. Well, that's weird too.
But sure, you're a Baylor guy, so you wouldn't understand it. So that's why I'm trying to walk you through it. Okay?
I'm a Dallas guy too.
You're a Lake Highlands guy, but you're focused in on the green and gold, and I get that. But here's the thing. They had to resuscitate their relationship with the city of Dallas. And two things have come of this over the last, if you really want to call it, the 6-7 years. Is that first, they got the relationship back with all those areas. Oak Cliff, East Dallas, that sort of, South Dallas, all those areas down in Duncanville. And then secondly, what it did was once they got a couple of really good players like Isaiah Nikovia, the very talented safety who everyone will see. He's on a lot of ACC lists. The one thing about Isaiah that I'm going to tell everybody right now for Baylor fans who don't know this, of course, we all know about Jerry Levias, that Isaiah's wearing the coveted number 23, which is the number that Jerry wore back in the 1960s. And Isaiah's wearing this jersey for the third consecutive year. This is a tradition that SMU started under June Jones back in, I think, 2009. So they got them. And then when they got Roderick Daniels from Duncanville, that really helped SMU open up and start recruiting into South Dallas County, DeSoto, Duncanville, Cedar Hill, Lancaster, all those locations, areas where SMU had been given the freeze for basically the first 29, 30 years, 25, 30 years after the death penalty. And because that started to thaw and it started to rehab, and then they started to get a lot of players from that area. I mean, they've got a few kids from Duncanville that are going to play, that are on this roster, kids from DeSoto that are on this roster, and they're continuing to build that pipeline. So you got to restore the relationship first before you can get recruiting. And I think that's part of it. Now, how long will they be intense with that state of Dallas, the Triple D look? I don't know. I mean, it could be.
Who knows?
Thing, but I'll put it to you this way: you don't fix what isn't broken. And if and the university have had this, have had this great relationship, repaired relationship for the last 8 years, then keep it going until. And then if there's something does happen where there could be a little bit of a two magnets going at each other over certain whatever issue that could ever pop up, that they're building that strength so that they can repair it. That's not happening, of course, right now, because I think, as I tell people a lot of the time, Matt, this is the best I've been with that school since I got accepted in, spring of 87. So what is it? 78. Or as I like to say, 138 years. It's really 38 years. But anyway, it's the best that I've ever seen this relationship between the university and all parts of Dallas. Never happened before. Even in the June Jones Bowl years. It's something that's needed. I mean, look at it this way, Matt. Baylor has a pretty good relationship with the city of Waco. TCU's relationship with the city of Fort Worth, that's been that's hand to glove the way that's worked over the year. And I think SMU has seen how that has worked and said, we've got to try and do that. And so now Dallas is a little bit more cosmopolitan because it's huge, and you have alums from different universities that are in there, a huge assortment: Texas A&M, Oklahoma, Arkansas, that sort of thing, LSU. But maybe what they do is they get a faction of those fans to help SMU its second favorite team, or a team that they want to buy tickets for. And I think this game against the Bears, I mean, we're probably going to get a sellout here. I haven't heard if it is.
I mean, I'd be disappointed if not. I mean, Dave Aranda's afraid that this loss might hurt the Baylor crowd, but I think a lot of the Baylor crowd already had tickets to this thing. So as many as SMU will let in there, they'll be in there. And I'm sure the SMU kids, even despite all that alcohol and the evil behavior that's on campus there with the Methodist, I'm sure the SMU will be very, very hospitable. Let me ask you this, though. The the Penn State game, obviously, we can go over whatever reasons it happened. The quarterback struggled mightily, and I think there was some concern, like, is he going to be able to bounce back? That could leave a mark. And, kids are resilient. He's probably going to be fine. But, more than the quarterback, what did Rhett Lashley do to respond to, great season, but we go up there in a cold, tough environment, and we kind of got exposed by a team that, again, is Penn State the greatest team ever? A very talented team, very fraudulent coach in some ways, but I do think it's a good program. They got great players. They got great NFL talent. What did Lashley, what was the first order of business, whether it be the portal or otherwise, that goes, what do we do to our program to kind of try to make sure something like that doesn't happen again, where we get in a bad spot and kind of get exposed? Were there any sort of direct responses to that outcome that Rhett made over the offseason to kind of fortify things?
Well, they hit the portal. They probably brought it between their signing class and their portal class, Matt. They brought in about 40 to 45 players for this 2025 team. And a good number of them got to campus in January, which was huge because you've got to get that going as early as you possibly can to develop chemistry and how a culture is going to work within your framework. Obviously, one thing that I've always enjoyed about listening to Red is that he's not going to sugarcoat anything. He's going to say it for what it is. And they acknowledge that they have – look, SMU had some early opportunities in that game against Penn State. If Jennings doesn't throw behind Matthew Hibner on that opening possession when they have the 4th and 1, we can go back to where Jennings probably should have run for that 4th and 1 and get out of bounds. But then when he threw it behind it and then it was incomplete, that kind of took the starch out of it. Then he throws 2 pick sixes. He threw 3 interceptions in that game. I'm kind of deviating here, but I'll make my point. I think the one pick that Kevin threw is the one that wasn't returned for a touchdown, was the one that they made a stop of Penn State at around the 20-yard line. Penn State went for it, and SMU stopped them. They get down inside the goal. They get down to about the 8-yard line, and then Jennings throws a really horrendous pick where it's returned all the way back to maybe the SMU 20-yard line or something like that. It was a long return. That was the backbreaker because they were moving it. They had a golden opportunity to get right back into this game. Now, as far as Jennings is concerned, yeah, he's a resilient kid, and he has said all the right things. He's got this real low-key demeanor to him so that he appears unflappable, that sort of thing. I do still worry about his turnover issues, like I mentioned to you earlier about that's part of the thing with him that I have to really watch this year. He'll always bounce back from it. And this is his team. I think that the one thing that the key for this team this year, Matt, is, they understood and they appreciated the opportunity that they had to get to the college football playoff. I'm going to be biased when I say this, but they absolutely deserved it over Alabama because, 1, they went undefeated in their conference. 2, they also, they played an outstanding ACC championship game in the second half. They were in a conference championship game. Alabama didn't do any of those things. And so we're quick to point out about the blowouts because the same criticism that SMU got was the criticism that Indiana got when it got blown out by Notre Dame. Okay. And so it's all hindsight on this. It was a great opportunity. It didn't work out. They didn't play very well up there at State College. But I also think, too, that they realize that they deserve it. Now, I think the biggest thing that's going to follow them that a lot of people kept saying about this program in the offseason, fluke, one-year wonder, they don't have it in them to do it again, that sort of thing. And my feeling about this team is that I don't know if they have to really get back to the playoffs to prove that they're a legitimate program, Matt. I don't think they do. What I think they have to do, and I predicted them to go 9-3 this year, by the way, what they have to do is they have to at least get into November in the ACC conference race. They're going to open up on homecoming. They're going to open up November 1st. That's homecoming for them against Miami, and then they also have Boston College, Louisville, all that in there. They'll finish at Cal. If you're in the race, for me as a fan, I might be too, pragmatic when it comes to saying this thing. I always say, well, we're going to win it this year. We need to win it or something like that. My stance with the team that I follow is to just give yourself the opportunity to be in the race and then let it see where it happens after that. Under Rhett Lashley, SMU has a record of 11-1 in the month of November under his tenure there. It's a really great record. They've been undefeated in November the last 2 years. They won the American Conference Championship last year. Obviously, they went undefeated in their first ACC season. I will say this. I know that people said and what's funny is I always look at how the arguments about SMU were. Is that one, remember, what was it said about it last year? Didn't deserve it. They were going to find out how bad Power Conference football was going to be. They weren't going to be up for it. Then they roll through at 11-3, have a tremendous season. And then that narrative flips to, well, they can't do it again. So it's kind of like people moving the line to try and gain the advantage over where they are and what they're capable of doing. Well, it's like but you know what? If you're SMU, you embrace that because that means they're paying attention to you and now they're looking at you. And so, but at the same time, that's for all the fans and administrators and everybody else. With everybody in the program, they don't have to worry about that stuff. But they have to continually prove to themselves that what they did mattered. And as long as their culture and their execution is where it needs to be, and if they continue to play at a high level, then they'll give themselves a chance every Saturday. Like I said earlier, I think this performance against Baylor on Saturday, I don't know if they're going to win or not, but if they give themselves the opportunity, if they play it at the level that I think they're capable of, then they'll have a shot to win the game. Now, the other thing is that they're 14-1 at home, or 15-1 at home in their last 16 games at Ford. And they've had some pretty good games there. They played pretty well there. They had the 66 points that they hung on TCU, beat Florida State pretty badly in their first ACC game. Of course, we didn't know at the time that Florida State was going to absolutely collapse into a mess last year. But I think the one game for me, like for this program that said that they could play at this level, was the following week after Florida State when they won at Louisville. And they won that game 34-27. So they've done what they've needed to do. It's about sustaining it. And as watching Baylor, when I covered Baylor from 2009 to 2023, Matt, we can appreciate this. Or it's the same trajectory. Saw Art Brow's program, but they were really bad in 07 and 08. And then they started to kind of figure it out a little bit in 09. Then they got better. And I can remember on Sick'em Sports that I wrote right before the 2013 season that I said, they're going to win the Big 12. They're that ready to do it. And then they did with Bryce Petty. And then they repeated it in 2014. And then, of course, the scandal hit after 2015. And then everything fell apart. But then under Matt Rule, they got back. So this is the kind of thing that SMU does, is that when they had the change from Sonny Dykes to Rhett Lashley in 2022, 7-6 season, play a bowl game, and then they win the conference, the AAC in 2023, and then they have this unexpected run because I think there's been this pent-up willingness for SMU to really step up. The SMU that I knew of when I was in school there in the years after is not the SMU that I know now. There's the commitment, and everyone talks about linear, being on linear when it comes to commitment. When you have it from your president, which is now Jay Hartzell, to your new athletic director and Damon Evans, when you all want the same things out of your program, chances are you're going to have a pretty good program over time. And I think that's probably what Baylor would like to have under Dave. I know this is a big year for Dave, but at the same time, if you have everybody lined up together and they are willing to commit themselves financially, other resources, things of that nature, and if you get the culture inside your locker room, you're going to have a chance to win every single year. And SMU's been dying to get to this point for decades, and now they've had a taste of it for the last 2 years, and they want to do everything in their power to sustain it. No guarantees, but they're trying to put themselves in a position to sustain that.
Yeah, the only thing I would tell the administration is at SMU is that those signs along 75 that have the picture of the president in his cabinet or something, like fans don't care about those people. Like they don't really care about the.
Well, Jay just got started on June 4th, so it's just kind of
okay, good. Yeah, well, they really are playing up this president. He did come from Texas. Okay, we're up against it. I just had one last little tiny thing. Just on this team, the biggest weakness, like if Baylor is going to exploit something, for instance, they certainly threw for a ton of yards on Auburn. They struggled in the run game. What would you say is the part of this SMU team that if they're going to struggle this year at times, what's the biggest weakness right now?
My concern would be for the SMU corners. The safeties are good between Ahmad Moses and Isaiah Nicobia, who I previously mentioned. Probably one of the best pair of safeties in college football. Corners probably are young. They're trying to figure that out still. They had some ups and downs last week against East Texas A&M. I think that's something that probably Sawyer Robertson and that wide receiver crew will do everything they can to exploit that. The second thing that I would be a little bit concerned about is, SMU's offensive line is touted as probably one of the best that they've had since the death penalty. They did have some issues at center on Saturday night against the Lions, and so I'm a little bit concerned about how that's going to look, if they're going to keep the same look, because they had this issue last year in the opener against Nevada, and they made the switch really quickly from what they had after that game to their second game against Houston Christian. So I'm a little bit worried about that. And then, again, I know you asked me for one, but I'm going to give you three, and I'm going to mention this for the third time. Is that it's got to be Jennings just taking care of the ball. He has got to make sure that he takes care of the ball for them. Again, one turnover you can get away with, but if it's more than two, then I think SMU is going to be up against it. So I think it really depends on if their corners can stand up with safety help, if they get their offensive line figured out, and if that actually is better than what we saw last Saturday, and if Jennings has better ball security. So I gave you 2 bonus ones.
Oh, man, thank you. Thank you. In fact, we'll put that behind a paywall and people can get in there later and get some of that.
Exactly.
Kev, always great to catch up with you. I noticed SMU has a 5-star 2 days ago on campus for another visit. So the recruiting seems to be going well. The Bears have a good class coming in, and they finally put a circle around Central Texas. Our youngsters are not leaving as much as they used to, and so excited about that. Tell everybody in Aledo, including the Haney family, if you see any of them out there at the big Aledo deal, because I know he's been involved in some of that. He's a great friend of mine.
Jesse's a good guy, yes.
Yeah,
Jesse's a good guy.
That's right. But even though he's TCU guy.
See what happened to Haas, too, at Oklahoma State. He got off to such a great start, too. And I don't know if you heard this, but he got off to a great start in his first start at Oklahoma State. Broke his foot, unfortunately. He's going to be out for 2 weeks, and so that's just
some guys do have a lot, and he had that something happen at TCU, kind of like that. Got hurt almost
when they were playing.
Right away. So. You know, he's I love that kid. So I hate to hear that. Okay, there he goes, Kevin. Thank you, man, and tell your sheetrocker today did a good job back there. Didn't make a lot of noise, and we appreciate him. Kevin, we'll see you soon.
All right, Matt. Always good to see you. Take care, my friend.
You bet. There he goes. Kevin Lonnquist. He was an old newspaper writer, and we were together at the Dallas Morning News for years, used to cover the Texas Rangers, and obviously has a lot of thoughts on SMU. And he can talk. The man can talk. And we'll see him at the Baylor SMU game on Saturday. Of course, the Green and Gold Game Day show will come to you that morning, and that'll be about 9 to 11 is what we're shooting for. And that'll be good, taking you right up to kickoff. And then I'll be doing some live reporting from the scene of the crime right there at Ford Field. And old Mosley will be checking in via phone or via something. And I'll look forward to that. Scotty and I have a little bit more to share with you. In fact, a little bit more. Want to hear a little bit more of that interview. Stephen A. Smith goes one-on-one with Micah Parsons' agent. Some very interesting info that came out of that. We'll do that next.
When Central National Bank decided to partner with Baylor women's basketball, we were hoping Coach Collin would bring that championship mindset to do whatever she has to do to take our workplace culture to the next level.
Well, these donuts are pretty good.
Guys, how we doing?
We're good, Coach.
Craig! What are you doing?
What do you mean?
You have to dunk it.
So far, I think our employees are really enjoying it.
Not everything's a basketball thing.
Did you say something, Craig?
No, ma'am.
That's what I thought.
Dude, I think she likes you.
Central National Bank, proud partner of Baylor Athletics and Baylor women's basketball.
Dive into adventure with Scuba.com, your ultimate destination for top-tier scuba and snorkeling gear. With over 20 years of experience, our expert staff, who've dived everywhere from the Galapagos to the Maldives, provides personalized advice to help you find the perfect gear for any underwater journey. Shop leading brands like GoPro, Aqualung, and Scuba Pro. Whether you're a beginner or a pro, trust Scuba.com for the best in diving equipment and expert guidance. Explore now at Scuba.com. That's SCUBA.com. Scuba.com. BizChair.com, your one-stop shop for premium commercial furniture that blends quality with affordability. From ergonomic office chairs to durable restaurant seating, we cater to diverse industries including corporate, medical, hospitality, and education. With over 20 years of experience, we offer fast shipping, exceptional customer support, and furniture solutions that stand up to high-traffic environment. Elevate your space with BizChair's vast selection of stylish, reliable, and cost-effective furniture. Visit us today at BizChair.com to transform your business. Level up your game with Corsair, the global leader in high-performance gear for gamers, content creators, and PC enthusiasts. From award-winning PC components to premium streaming equipment, smart lighting, and esports coaching services, Corsair delivers an ecosystem designed for peak performance. Whether you're a casual gamer or a pro, alleviate your setup with Corsair. Shop now at Corsair.com. That's Corsair.com. Corsair. At Mitzi, we believe the right light can transform any space. Born from a third-generation lighting family, we craft beautifully designed, premium lighting that's made to be affordable. Inspired by Grandma Mitzi's eclectic style, we're on a mission to make high-quality lighting accessible to all. Whether you're updating your space or adding a unique fixture, Mitzi has the perfect design for you. Beautiful, well-made lighting without the high price tag. Discover your perfect light at Mitzi.com. That's MITZI.com. Mitzi. Founded in 1910, Samsonite is the world leader in durable, high-quality luggage and travel accessories. Made to the highest standards, our products won't let you down. We give you the confidence to get out there and explore. Inspired by the past, devoted to the present, and built to inspire a multi-generational future, Samsonite is here to elevate your journey. Travel with Samsonite and pack confidence every step of the way. Shop now at shop.samsonite.com. Samsonite. The grinder mentality that Randy and Brent Habert built into 44 Pro runs deep within our team. Every member shares a passion for the craft, the game, and most importantly, the player. When you step onto the field with a 44 Pro custom glove, you'll feel the difference. It's not just a glove, it's a 44 Pro. Crafted with dedication, made for performance, and built to last. Get your custom glove today at 44pro.com and experience the 44 Pro difference. That's 44pro.com, 44 Pro. At Angel Bliss, we believe every parent's journey is a beautiful adventure. Our mission is to make it joyful and stress-free with thoughtful, safe, and innovative products. Born from a love for family, we promise peace of mind for parents and comfort for babies. From playtime to bedtime, every Angel Bliss product is designed with care, reliability, and a style to nurture the special bond between parent and child. Angel Bliss, creating happy memories, one baby at a time. Visit us at angelbliss.us. Angel Bliss. Golf Partner, the world's largest golf store network, offers more purchasing opportunities than anywhere else. With a dominant market share and a wider selection of quality secondhand golf clubs than our competitors, we make it easy for you to enjoy the game with affordable, top-quality equipment. Join us at golfpartnerusa.com and discover why we're the trusted choice for golf lovers worldwide. That's GOLFPARTNERUSA.com. Golf Partner.
Since 2003, Bluehost has been empowering people to harness their brands online with innovative web hosting solutions. Trusted by over 2 million users, we're the longest-running WordPress.org recommended host. With Bluehost, you get a safer, better web experience, supported by the world's most popular site builder, and backed by our commitment to open source projects. Visit Bluehost.com today and take your website to the next level.
You know, this is the only problem, Scotty, with it is the Mosley Show on Rogue Media Network. The only problem with having me on camera, there's a lot of problems with it. But, you know, when like one of my buddies that I have on, like Lonnquist, starts on a soliloquy and I just cannot get him to answer like what I've asked, I think I occasionally might make a face, you know, and when you're on radio, you can just make whatever face you want. I'm just kind of like, oh my gosh, is Lonnquist ever going to land this? He's a very smart guy, very detailed, and he's incredible at recruiting. He's covered a lot of recruiting over the years for both Baylor and SMU. So, but good to have him on and catch up on this rivalry. And Kevin's a good guy, and we've been friends for a long, long time. But yeah, and by the way, Scotty, I just was sending you some stuff. I mean, 2 days after, or however many days it is, the weekend's thrown me off, the holiday weekend. LSU, Brian Kelly firing shots at Dabo. And whatever Dabo says, coaches say the dumbest stuff to try to justify losses. I mean, there was one thing that bugged me that Aranda said, but for the most part, he owned it, said the film was tough to watch. It wasn't anything too crazy. There was like some stuff about like, I don't want to hear a coach talk about how great a team they are. We're a good team after that loss. I just think you'd talk about something else. But for the most part, he didn't throw out something silly like what Dabo did today. But boy, Brian Kelly from LSU just going right back at him for Dabo trying to act like, oh, they had this major exam on the first day of school. Give me a break. Scotty, am I wrong to say that they've had like a month or two of fall camp? Have they had a good month where they've been practicing every day? Did LSU sneak up on them on the schedule? My gosh, acting like, oh, we got to class the first day and they gave us an exam and so we're okay. Everything's okay. Dabo is the corniest guy in America. He is the corniest coach, and I like him, and he's a good Christian guy. All that's great, but golly. And I won't tell you which of my fraternity brothers he reminds me of because they're the exact same person. And by the way, I love this fraternity brother. And this fraternity brother is a head coach in high school, by the way. But, oh, my gosh, Dabo and him remind me so much of each other. You cannot even imagine. They look alike. They sound alike. It's the dangest thing. And my buddy, they tried to hire him as a college coach years ago. The guy went up to Tulsa, coached at Arizona State. Todd Graham tried to hire him. But it's hilarious how much they sound and how much they look alike. Scotty, I'm sorry. We went the double screen for a while. Were you going to say something? I think I got rolling so much there. You just went back. But anyway, Scotty, if you have something, I'm very much open to it. I was going to share with our folks. Let's see where we are here in the proceedings. Okay, we got a little time left for this. Scotty, I had Micah earlier today. We had this story that comes out on ESPN.com, and it's the whole TikTok. It's like what journalism still does. There's a lot of change, and there's newspapers going away, and the latest one was the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. That's go boom. They're gone. They're gone. It's going away, sadly. But what places like ESPN.com and The Athletic and others still do a good job of from time to time is they take a big news story. And the reason I brought up, I wanted to bring up not Bernstein, Woodward. Woodward writes those books, and it just takes you behind the scene. And the greatest book they ever wrote was their one on, the whole Watergate. And that one's called Final Days. All right. The movie's called All the President's Men. But they take a story like the whole Micah Jerry saga, and they try to give you a TikTok of exactly how it went every moment going back to March. There's one of those on ESPN.com today. Now, if you're tired of Micah, I get it. I've got a little Micah fatigue myself. But if you kind of want to know a little behind the scenes, how all this went back and forth, pretty good story. And Don Van Natta was writing it, and Jeremy Fowler, I think, was part of that story, along with several others. And so you can go read that story. Well, today, almost as a response to that story, Micah Parsons' attorney or his agent gets involved, and he does the first interview I can remember him doing. People have gotten a hold of him along the way, but he hasn't gone on camera. He went on with Stephen A. today, and I want to play a little bit of this to you. He wanted to make it known, and Scotty did a great job of getting all this together. He wanted it to, even now that he's a Packer, for whatever reason, it's important to Micah and his agent, and maybe it's to stick it to the Cowboys fans, or stick it to Jerry, I should say. He wants to let it be known how badly he wanted to be a Cowboy. Here's that clip.
I think the most important thing is that Michael wanted to be a Cowboy, right? He grew up cheering for the Cowboys, wore the blue and white at Penn State, wore it in the NFL with the Dallas Cowboys. He wanted to be a Cowboy. And we did everything we could for him to remain a Cowboy. We reached out, and like you said, I don't really do these interviews. We try to keep the negotiations out of the media. But in this case, so much information has been put out there that we wanted to just address a couple of things. But as far as Michael is concerned, he wanted to be a Cowboy. We did everything we could. And sometimes you got to be a little careful with what you read in the media as far as what was offered to Micah, the guarantees that were offered, the APY that was offered. There's so much that goes into an NFL contract. If you look at many of these contracts that the Cowboys have done over the past few years and the recent ones, the guarantees don't stretch much further than the first new year. If you look at Micah's current deal, he has guarantees into 4 years from now. So again, there are certain things that have been put out in the media to make it look as though Micah turned down a fair or a great deal, but that's simply not the case.
Ooh. See, Jerry wants it out there that we were going to blow this away. In fact, Jerry even wants to insinuate that whatever the total money or guarantees that he could have gotten more with the Cowboys. The player wanted a 4-year deal. All these players want the shorter deal so they can get back on the market sooner. And Jerry wanted a 5-year deal. Boy, this thing got kind of contentious. And so this agent wanted to go on today and refute some of what Jerry's been putting out there. Now, I like the guy. He seems kind of reasonable, kind of fairly unassuming, I would even say. And he even stuck the sharp stick to Stephen A. and said, "Thank you for finally getting my last name right, after 3 years or something." I like that. I like that. So the other one was Jerry going to make him the highest paid non-quarterback ever?
Jerry Jones accurate when he said that he offered to make Micah the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history? Was he honest when he said that?
So that's a loaded question, right? So from an APY standpoint, if you're just looking at the average that was offered to him, I believe it was 40.5 was the offer, which would have made him at the time from an APY standpoint the highest paid. That being said, the way the cash flow was structured over his first 3 new years, he would not be paid as the highest paid player in the NFL. So again, that's why I say the devil's in the details. And another important part of the contract was a 4-year deal versus a 5-year deal, right? When you look at that 5th new year could be the difference in $30 to $40 million for the player. If you look at where the pass rusher market was a year ago, it was at 35 million or so with Nick Bosa. Now it's at 47 million in 1 year with Micah Parsons. So 4 years from now, what do you think that number is? It's probably closer to $65, $70 million a year. And if we lock in that 5th year currently at $40 million, just that year alone is worth an additional $30 million to Micah, if not more. And that's not even counting the raise that he got for the next 4 years, or the fact that the Packers were good enough to us that they gave us the 5th-year option as a linebacker this year as opposed to a DN. So that's an additional $3 million. So, the difference between those two deals you're looking at could be possibly, $60, $70 million when it's all said and done.
All right, Scotty, this is an agent that has some rabbit ears, because Andrew Brandt and some other agents and people that talk about these kinds of things, money, former cap experts, tried to get out there and say, well, this is what he was trying to do. And so he wants to set the record straight, at least his version of the record. And I'm sure Jerry would have a completely different version. This was interesting in that Jerry and I had remembered Jerry saying to me this to me many years ago: don't let your money get mad. And like all these other entities started using that. Scotty, you'll see that after I tweeted about that, shortly after the trade was announced, is when the other reporters started using that phrase. It's an old Jerry phrase. It hasn't been brought up a lot recently, but in this case, he absolutely let his money get mad. And he now is going to flex his new cap space. All the money they saved on Micah, he's going to start getting deals done. And whether that's with Tyler Smith, whether that's with Deron Bland, which he just got that deal done, these are ways he thinks he's taken a poke at Micah. He thinks he's helped the organization. Micah, and that's why I don't even understand why this agent would take this interview, because Micah shouldn't care anymore about what people think about him from a Cowboys perspective. He just got $47 million a year. I mean, that's $6 million more a year than TJ Watt and all these guys got. He got a massive, massive deal. And again, the agent just explained exactly what I was kind of talking about, is by getting the deal over sooner, they're going to end up capitalizing. And they think if he has a great next 4 years, get one more crack at this thing. And then that's when the money is up there around whatever, 65. That's scary to hear him say that. It's probably true. I mean, the market never seems to go down or flatten at certain positions. It did at running back. It hasn't at left tackle. It rarely flattens out at cornerback. And it's not flattening out at pass rusher anytime soon. But let's get the best pass rusher in the game out of here because he wasn't helping with the run game. Boy, that poor old run game just couldn't stop the run. So what we've been able to do is eliminate somebody who's not against the run. Never mind the fact that they were on their way to one of the greatest starts of an NFL career in the history of the game. You got to go back to the old-time greats when they didn't even take sacks, when they didn't even have it as a stat. And Deacon Jones and whoever was doing it, and everybody named Herb and people named Merlin back in the day. You got to go all the way back there. This is what this guy was doing. But, oh, no, we're going to reinvent the wheel, and we're going to bring in a 30-year-old run defender. That's what the Cowboys are doing now. That's what they want you to think. Man, we have really eliminated an issue. Well, by eliminating an issue, they have eliminated a chance to have one of the great pass rushes as a team in the game. And let me tell you, the Ravens or Eagles or somebody like that is going to end up this year, they're going to end up with some kind of huge sack total. What's a big sack total? I don't know, 45 to 60, somewhere in that range, I think. They're going to end up with an enormous sack total, and the Cowboys will be back there just kind of whimpering along. Hey, did y'all see us? We got like 28 sacks. Gonna be bad. Gonna be out in the wilderness, the sack wilderness. Okay. Scotty, that's my ode to Mac Rhodes. He likes to finish a thought with okay. Likes to really, if he punctuates it with okay, that's kind of his spike in the football. Okay. Scotty, thank you, buddy. I appreciate you. The landing, love that Brazos landing. We had great Campus Confidential today. The Brazos landing, that's where we land every day. It's where we want to be, right over by that river. And love that Lindsay family. Thank you, Brazos Landing. We'll be out there soon for a live show. And man, I got to tell you more tomorrow. I got to tell you about Craig Cherry and that law firm, because the Johnson, so you got Scott James, you got Johnson Sigmund. The Johnson in that law firm just got named to this huge list. And I'll have information on that tomorrow, and we'll celebrate him. I mean, that is a law firm of all law firms, and we appreciate them being such a huge part of the Mosley Show. For Scotty Swingler and Corey Dickman and the great Rogue Media Network family, I am Matt Mosley. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Goodbye.